less intelligent way, to use your term, would be to bring the new riser and then seek to remove the plugs from on top. That's the hard way.
I did not directly tell you it's the less intelligent way.
I know.
So please don't assume.
No, all right. I said the smart way. So the next way, the hard way, right? Don't hold me to the intelligent and so on.
Remember, you holding me to everything I say. So
the commission. The hard way would be to install the new riser and then seek to remove the plugs from on top. That's the hard way.
To my discretion.
Yes. And the same tool, help me here, the same tool that was used to remove, to insert the plugs before the cutting of the old riser would be the same tool to use to remove it after putting a new riser. Isn't that so?
If they choose to go
the hard way.
Yeah, I guess.
That's because both pieces are approximately the same length.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Thanks. And the new riser, I think we may have gotten this before we took the break. There may be or may not be welding to do at the top of the new riser, because if it's finished and fabricated, there's no welding to be done. If it's rough, there's welding and cutting to be done.
I am not even sure if that was part of LMC's scope of work.
That's a different thing. So I just want to experience.
Mm-hmm.
The new riser could either have cutting and welding to do, or it may have been polished and finished to connect to the elbow up on top.
Yeah.
But you can help us as to the condition of the new piece that was to be installed.
I cannot recall.
Right. That's good enough, Mr. Brewer. Where are we at? No, because you don't need that. You don't need to take him through that. That's unnecessary. Right. Dobson. You know someone called Dobson who was at the
the
toolbox meeting. He said he's a Paria official, or well, in fact he was a Kingston official, but enough to say that he was a Paria person.
Right.
He was not an LMCS person.
Correct.
He has given a report as to what was discussed at that toolbox meeting on the morning of the 25th of February, 2022. I'm not holding you to it. I just want to alert you to the fact that, and Mr. Chairman, that could be found at electronic page 1022, core bundle 1. Volume 1, right?
We have it as electronic volume 1. I don't know what
we have it as electronic volume 1, page 1022. It's on the screen. Is that?
Yes, I got that.
Yeah. Right. Could you scroll down a bit? The list. Didn't upset your list? Mr. Budam, this is not your document, but I'm not holding it. But what I wanted to show you is the list of activities as reported at that toolbox meeting. So take a few minutes and look at it. How many items? 10?
Yes, this is what happened. Didn't identify.
No, like 10, right? It's 10. Yeah. There are 10 items there. And what is...
I understand what I'm reading here, and I understand what they're coming at, but Mr. Dobson could have stopped proceedings if he found that this was at any time off protocol.
That's not what I was coming with. What I was coming with is this. In that list, in that list of 16, there's no mention of any activity involving the removing of the barriers, the mechanical plug or the inflatable plug.
So why Mr. Dobson didn't stop the job?
All I'm saying is that that's a report. In fairness,
Okay, I understand.
There's a record of.
All right, so like
from Mr. Dobson,
you know, I wasn't privy to this document.
That's
So
what I told you.
in reference to that, I'm not at a managerial level again. So wherever they tell us on the safety meeting, in the toolbox meeting, is what we go with. I'm just a diver, and they told me this is what we have to do, and that's what we went and do.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, but in fairness to you, all I'm doing is I accept that. All I'm saying that there are two records, documentary evidence as to what was discussed at that toolbox meeting. One that you signed that doesn't speak to the removal of the barriers, and there's another record which appears to be in more detail by a person who was there. I'm not saying that you're supposed to know of this, but a person who was there also separately recording what was discussed at that meeting. And all I'm pointing out to you is this again does not cover an activity for the removal of the plugs.
Could I draw a reference to you?
I don't know, Mr.
Could I draw a reference?
A reference to what?
The situation where I'm trying to show him that what on document and what does be done on the job site don't always be what they want us to do.
Well, I think all I can ask you to do, please, is to answer each question that is asked of you. All right? You'll appreciate that we have a lot more material than everything that's being gone through with you. All right? And we'll see where we get to today. I've got some other questions, perhaps, depending on what others ask. All right? But if you just answer the questions, that way I think we'll at least get on. You know? Thank you.
And I have one more question for you. Do you know one? Well, it's two really. Do you know one Sham Balkisun from Paria, HSE technician, like Paria/Kenson?
A lot of the employees I may not know by their name, but by face and maybe a nickname.
In fairness to you. Mr. Maraj had taken you to a conversation that was alleged that you had from the San Fernando Hospital with Mr. Piper with a speakerphone. Yeah. There is also, so I wouldn't go to that conversation, but I just want to point out there's a second person, Mr. Paul Yearwood, who is also alleging that there was a conversation with you on the 25th from the San Fernando Hospital through a call coming from Sham Balkisun of Paria-Kenson to back to Paria, where you had said certain things.
Okay, so I'll make myself
Are you suggesting that was at a different time or the same?
No, same time.
Same call,
yes.
Right? Because there's another
second person.
So let me make myself clear on that situation. I have no recollection of the call. I'm not denying the call. What I am sure that I would not say is those divers are dead, because I told everyone from the beginning, my friends are alive. So I am not denying if there was a call. I'm not sure, because there's a lot of things while I was in hospital after I reached my wife. I give up on trying to control what was going on wrong and everything like that. I felt at comfort when I saw my wife. So while going through with the painkillers and all these kind of things, I was maybe in and out and not denying. I don't have any recollection, but I'm sure I will not tell him that those divers died.
Thank you, Mr. Budram, for your time and answering the questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all we have.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Budram.
Good afternoon.
I would just like to ask you a few questions to clarify some things.
Can you introduce yourself to Ms. so that he knows who's asking questions?
Certainly. My name is Kamini Prasad Maraj, and I am representing LMCS at this commission.
Okay.
Mr. Peterson showed you some documents, the permit to work document, you recall that?
Mm-hmm.
And he also showed you the document that you signed, which was a toolbox document.
Yeah.
You recall that. Can you confirm that there were other documents that would have been together with the toolbox and document and the permit to work document?
Yeah, there were the GSA.
GSA.
Job safety analysis.
Or
GSE.
JHA?
GHA, yeah.
Right. Method statement?
Right, yeah.
All right.
But again, remember, as an employee, they may or may not run through it with us, you know, and at our level, we can't demand, or maybe we could, but we don't demand to see all documents. What I know I need to see is to know that there's a permit, there is a toolbox meeting that I need to sign, and there is a GSA I need to sign. From every other experience on a job, these are the important things that an employee should review and sign. And not all the time we do fully review it. You know, sometimes we just sign it just to get things going.
Just to hone in a little bit. The GHA is a document that would say what the risks are in relation to the job that you're doing.
Correct.
Right.
And the mediation in it, in the risk.
Mitigation.
The mitigation.
Right. And the method statement would be what it is that the job entails in terms of a detail.
The steps in how they are carrying about the job.
All right. I thank you for your clarification. I really don't have any other question that I would like to ask of Mr. Budram, Mr. Commissioner.
I'm going to take him through this bit first, if I may. Is there, before we move on, are there any other questions from any other party? Yes, sir. I think it might be helpful if you did stand for a moment, just because I can't see you back there. You are... Right, you need to put your microphone on, and I'm happy for you to sit once you've introduced yourself, so that we can all hear you, can speak into the microphone.
Should it please you, I am Asif Hussein Shah.
Right.
With me is Ms. Nari Alfonso, and we represent the SWWTU.
All right. Please take a seat and make sure you speak into that microphone.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Budram.
Good afternoon.
I have a few brief questions for you before passing you over to Ms. Alfonso. At your statutory declaration, I'm not sure if you have a copy of it in front of you.
Go ahead, I do think I need one.
Okay. Well, at paragraph 2 of your statutory declaration, just to be fair to you, you mentioned that you became qualified with PADI, the Professional Association of Diving Instructors, since 2009, and that you have 12 years' experience in diving commercially.
Correct.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
So prior to your PADI certification, how long were you diving or conducting dives?
Maybe about a year, if so much, in commercial level.
At any level?
Well, maybe about 5 years before that.
And at a commercial level?
Maybe about a year to 6 months before obtaining the cert.
Sure. And you go further in stating that you conducted underwater welding as well.
Yes, sir.
Would that have been included in the time prior to your PADI certification?
No.
All right. Did you undergo any sort of training prior to PADI with respect to diving?
No, sir.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about your PADI certification now. At your statutory declaration, also at paragraph 2, and also at your witness statement at paragraphs 5 and 6 to the Commission, you say that you were qualified with PADI, or you are qualified with PADI. What does that mean?
Exactly what you say.
Is it that you were granted certification or a license?
Yes, sir.
Is it a certification?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that PADI offers different levels of certification?
I do.
And are you able to recall what your level of certification is?
Open water diver.
Open water diver. Is it at a particular depth?
Yeah, it shouldn't cross more than 200 feet on scuba.
And what is involved, 200 feet in scuba, just for clarification?
Sorry?
200 feet with scuba equipment.
Yeah.
And what is involved in the training for that certification?
Learning how to tread waters, learning the various, learning how to check your dive time, learning how to use a dive chart, learning how to be comfortable in the water, taking off your equipment, putting it back on, learning to tread water, well, you know, learning to tread water, practice in the water without causing harm to the marine environment, and a number of other things too with it.
Did it involve, or did your training with PADI, did it involve any sort of commercial training?
Well, the term commercial is kind of wide here, you know, because while I was doing PADI training and all this kind of thing, it didn't have a demand to be, and there is no law that I am aware of in Trinidad stating that I have to be IMCA qualified or any other courses. The standard is once you're certified, right? So as far as once I was a skilled person, right, and acquire diving skills, 1-on-1 is 2, and a lot of people before me, a lot of IMCA qualified people before me also was PADI qualified, and after certain years of in the industry and being able to make money to go abroad to do that course, to open, you know, more work to them internationally, then they went and do it. That is more or less how Trinidad was in operation, because to do a IMCA diving course is like 150,000 TT, maybe more, right? So for me to get 150,000 just so without having a purse or having a rich daddy or mommy, which I don't, how would I have been able to, you know, obtain that? So,
but you would have at least gotten some training from those you would have conducted dives with.
well, yeah, I start off as a dive trainee. In most jobs, you start off as a tender and come in as a trainee, and you know, you'll be like observing. It's like an understudy of any profession.
So you would have been an understudy of someone who would have been experienced in conducting commercial dives.
Correct.
And what time period would you say, in a matter of years, months, would you say you served as an understudy to such?
I was advantage in that system. I did that for nearly maybe 5 years.
And I'm sure under various persons as well.
Correct. For the lowest amount of money.
Yeah, I entirely understand that. I want to take you to, and I'm not sure if it can be put on screen, it's the exhibit to your statutory declaration. It's at page 1564 of the witness statement bundle. Now, this card, I'm sorry, is this a card or is it some sort of piece of paper or something else?
That's a card.
Right.
At the time of my certification, they stopped doing paper certification and they upgraded to a card.
And this card was issued by Patty.
Correct.
Now, my eyes are particularly terrible, but from what I can make out, or what I think I can make out, at the foot of that card, the following words appear. This diver has satisfactorily met the standards for this certification level as set forth, and then I believe there's Paria and whichever branch of Paria it is. When the words this certification level, to the best of your knowledge, does that relate to the open water diving certification at 200 feet?
Correct.
Sure. Have you ever done any further courses, formal courses that is, with respect to diving?
I did some dive rescue training that a company called Solitanj Bachi Seamass, that's an international company, provided for us, but I did not collect the certification, you know, in my hands personally. They just needed it for the job, to know that the divers were rescue trained.
Sure. Now I want to take you to two things before I pass you to Ms. Alfonso. Earlier in your testimony, you stated that you conducted dives inside Paria's pipelines before. And if I recall correctly, you said you actually went inside the pipeline at Bird's Sticks.
On one occasion before, yeah.
Was that a formal operation or job?
Yes, sir.
And prior to that operation, well, before I go there, could you give us some details as to what that operation entailed or job?
It was a reinstallation of a riser from the elbow. We just had to unbolt the flange on the seabed, but first we had to do some airlifting. Airlifting is like vacuuming the floor, the materials on the floor, the seabed, right? To go down, excavating with a vacuum, more or less, right?
Yes.
To clear the flange. After doing that, we had to unbolt the flange, change out the whole riser with a new prefabricated riser, bolt it up. The issue we had on that job is because we had something called ground swells. That is where the sea that be rolling at the ground level. It was causing rough and unsuitable weather for diving, more or less. But because of the urgency of the job, Paria always put urgency in front of anything else, in my experience. All right?
Yeah.
Because of the urgency of the job, they insisted that we got the riser installed. Right?
Yes.
It was paper gasket at that time we was using. Not Paria, sorry, I apologize. Back then was Petrotrin. I apologize. But it was more or less the same managers. Mr. Colin Piper was the man in charge at the job at that time too.
Yes. And just for confirmation, even though it's a pretty obvious question, this job required you to go inside the pipeline.
Because of the rough weather, and using a soft paper gasket, right, the surges were very dangerous to put your hands and get it from outside.
Yes.
So we came up with a solution, a diver going from inside and inserting the gasket from inside, keeping his fingers and everything inside the diameter of the pipe, while somebody tries catching a bolt and bringing it in. This went to Petrotrin, and whoever had to make the certain clearance to say, okay, it's safe to do, and whoever that had to do, that was passed for me to go ahead and do it. I was the diver who, I would say, the word, I lost my mind on the word, so I apologize for this. I was the diver that
volunteered?
Yeah, that to go in. So I volunteered and went in, put the gasket in place while two other divers bolted it on and came back out safely.
Sure, and prior to this dive, were you required to attend a toolbox meeting?
No, sir.
Was there a safety briefing?
In the beginning of the day, yes, the safety meeting, but for this adjustment,
yeah.
It wasn't our official toolbox talk, but we had a talk, you know, concerning how to go about doing it and to try and be safe, and that is it. You know, it wasn't an official toolbox because the toolbox meeting was to the morning period of the day.
Was the topic of ever becoming stuck inside the pipeline ever addressed for that operation?
No, I couldn't get stuck in the pipeline.
Well, becoming trapped or otherwise trapped?
No, because we was using a cord, a rope, that was attached to me.
Yeah.
Onto my right hand, my breathing apparatus was, of course, off my back into my left hand. And when I reached down to which part the flange was inside the riser where the crane was holding up, I put the tank between my leg and I put it. But I always had a rope connected to my hand, knowing which way is out, and if in case any emergency, somebody could have maybe retrieved me.
Yeah, and well, this is a question of opinion, and I hope the chair allows it. Arguably, you just said that a rope was used when you went inside the pipeline. So, if it is, and I'm talking about the specific incident now.
Yes.
If it is that a rescue operation was to be conducted, would it be the case? I appreciate that, but would it be the case that any person entering the pipeline would also be similarly connected via rope to enter the pipeline and to find anyone stuck or otherwise trapped in the pipeline and to assist them in getting out?
Yes, sir.
And then one more question of opinion. I hope I'm not overstaying my welcome. You gave a passionate answer to a question asked by Mr. Maharaj earlier today. And the topic was the use of commercial diving equipment as opposed to the scuba equipment used for this particular operation on the 25th of February.
Yes, sir.
Are you in a position to expand on why you are of the view that the scuba equipment was more appropriate for this particular operation?
Yeah, because all you need the diving equipment for is to enter the chamber. After entering the chamber, you have to dismount of diving equipment to execute the job. I challenge any diver or any supervisor to say that they could have on their hat in a clear atmosphere without buoyancy and do any type of pipe fitting work. So diving equipment was irrelevant. And if I had on this diving equipment and that suction had happened, for some reason I have a Hulk neck and you're sucking that pipe, my head would have stayed in the helmet and my body would have been in the pipe.
And is it that, I remember you also mentioned a vortex. Is it that in the event, now these commercial diving masks, sorry, they are also connected to something called surface air via cord?
Yes.
And if you were trapped in a vortex?
Yeah, umbilical cord. That's what I was saying.
Yes.
If my umbilical cord, right, and that vortex pull me down inside it with that umbilical cord, my head would have, with the force that was there, my head would have been ripped off, or neck would have been broken. They will know if I had, and it is impossible, remember I'm telling you, it is impossible to wear a hat inside there and do that work. Right? The weight of that hat. When I get pulled in there would have been no chance of survival for none of us.
Fair enough. Thank you, Mr.
The only difference, I may not have suffered any skull fractures.
Yeah, and I saw the details of your injuries, and it's truly miraculous, and we're all very blessed to have you here alive with us.
I don't feel so.
Well, those are my questions, so I'll pass you on to Ms. Alfonso now, who also has a few questions for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Budram. Sorry.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'll just, in case I'm short and you can't see me, and the chair can't see me.
Hello, you're representing the same union, right?
Yes, indeed. It's myself and
Is there a
Mr.
reason
Chair.
why one person can't ask the questions? Or?
Different prep. Mr. Hussain Shah says it correct. Different prep.
All right. How long are you going to be?
Very few questions,
All right,
and only in one small aspect. So I hope the chair will indulge me. Good afternoon, Mr. Budram. My name is Nairi Alfonso, and I just have a few questions to ask you with regard, and I'll tell you specifically where it is, so it's not wide-ranging. From my reading of your statutory declaration that you gave on the 22nd of October, no, sorry, it's the other way around, the 19th of October 2022, I can count three air tanks that you came across while traversing or trying to make your way out of the pipeline. Am I correct?
That I came across.
That you came across. You didn't have one on you, but as you traversing the pipe, you came across one, you used it, then you came across two, from my reading.
Right. And
am I correct?
Yeah, Faisal Kurban had one also.
Okay. So the first one that you found, I believe that you said you reached a point where all of the air had been utilized.
Yes, ma'am.
And you dropped that tank.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Or you stopped using that tank. Let me not say
no. It was.
It was
out,
completely
clean out.
Okay. Could you tell me, Mr. Budram, when you stopped using that tank, and you discarded it in some way or the other, was it floating? Did it drop to the bottom of the pipe? Did it float to the top of the pipe?
So when the tank is empty, it will be buoyant.
Okay.
Right? So it wouldn't float level.
Okay.
It float in an angle like that.
Okay.
So it could float either or, because remember there would be some level of air is just not usable. So it wouldn't be floating like that. It will have a small amount. So however, whichever direction was pointed up first,
okay,
right? Buoyancy could tend to be like that. So it could be either by the head, okay, or the bottom, but it will be floating like that.
Okay, and could you tell me the average tank that was utilized on this job, oxygen tank? What's its length?
The specifics on the length could be about 3 feet, 6 inches in diameter, and it holding 3,000 psi.
Okay. So the tank is actually bigger than the actual pipeline then?
Yeah, it is.
Longer. Let me be clear. Longer.
It is.
Okay, so because it was an angle, it could fit in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Because if it's bigger than the pipeline, then it should be lodged in some way, yeah?
There were no tanks lodged anywhere.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to hear. So how you couldn't have this tank on your back, and you said that. So you were pushing it or you were pulling it?
I was pushing it. The tank was in front of me. I had the tank in front of me, and I was swimming because the length of the second stage, the mouthpiece that coming into your mouth, right? If I had it into the back of me, I wouldn't be able to reach it to my mouth.
I see, I got you.
You understand? So I had to have it close by here, in my mouth, and traversing.
So when that tank finished, you were able to swim past that empty tank, or swim over, or swim around?
Correct.
Could you help us out if you recall which one you did?
I went over. I went over.
You went over the tank.
Yeah.
And you were able to swim past that tank and eventually go on to find 2 other tanks.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. So that I think by now I will just put to you that that you would have seen some information coming out from the early part or the opening day of the commission's hearings or sittings that there was some cameras, a boroscope first, and then a crawler camera put down in the pipeline. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you would have heard perhaps that there was a report that there was a blockage.
I do not believe that camera footage was real, and if that was real, it wasn't a real attempt to see what was inside the pipe. Or maybe because of the environment, the camera maybe went and jammed something, and they are.
I'm going to stop this line of inquiry, please. This is all speculation.
Okay, I'm sorry, Chair. So, but you were able. That is your final thing. You were able to swim past that oxygen tank.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Budram. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think that's it, is it, from Council? Thank you. I think Mr. Wilson has a few questions. Please, Mr. Budram.
Afternoon again, Mr. Budram.
Good afternoon.
Again, thank you for coming and participating in this exercise. I just want to ask you in terms of standard, not in contention of scuba diver or commercial diver, but to the best of your knowledge, does LMCS practice their dive operations to any known standard? Whether it be IMCA, ADCI, Trinidad and Tobago Bureau standard?
A fraction IMCA, not really to the full extent that it should be, but.
Okay, so you implement some safety measures and stuff and take some of the good parts of IMCA and implement it into the management system and stuff, so that's fine. So, but the answer would be not really. You don't know of any standard that you guys operate to or dive to.
Correct.
Okay, no problem. Earlier in your statement, I heard that you, one of the guys remained on the barge as a standby diver.
Yeah.
At the commencement of the job or any day throughout the project cycle, did you guys, or do you know of, because I understand you were absent some days, would sort of employ any drills where the standby diver would have drilled to get back any? Okay,
no, sir.
No problem. The other one I want to go to is with the permit to work. Hearing that you've had permit to work training and stuff, in terms of raising the permit, did you have any roles and responsibilities like a performing authority or anything at any point in time?
Not on that job, no,
no
sir.
problem. So you have the training and you're aware and stuff and all of that. With your training, just the permit to work process, are you aware if the permit to work is a component of any other processes, a big, larger process, or you're just fully familiar with the permit to work?
I'm aware that it's a larger process.
Gotcha.
It's a legal binding document, and in order to issue a permit, you need to get signatories from managers in different positions, and the last signatory would be the supervisor or the job manager on the document, and all these things is to implement and to make sure the job is to a satisfactory, safe level.
Yeah, fair enough. by chance, if you push, can you recall the name of the larger process that the permit to work is part of? No problem.
A court system.
Control of work system.
Yeah.
COW. Yes, COW. You're pronouncing it. Yes. All right. The last question would be, under the control of work system or the permit to work system that that the toolbox might be part of, are you aware of any supplementary certificates or documents that's supposed to be attached to that permit?
Okay. Repeat the question for me, please.
So, any awareness when a permit to work is being raised and then it's issued? When it's issued, are you aware, or was it put into practice any time throughout the cycle of the project that supplementary documents were attached?
Yes, sir, the GSA and the toolbox form and the method statement should be there too.
Gotcha. Mr. Boudram, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Your ordeal is nearly over, but I'm afraid I am going to ask you a few questions that arise from that which Mr. Gilbertson asked you, and to a lesser extent, Ms. Horsad Maharaj. Can I first of all ask for the document at our page 1074 be put up on the screen, please? That's not it. Well, no, I think this is a different document to that which I want, which is 1074 in my core bundle, volume 3. It's the work permit. Yes. Thank you very much. Can you have a hard copy as well of that, please? Can that be it? It's page 1074.
And this?
What volume do you have there?
Volume 2. Volume 2.
No, you need 3. Just a minute. It's going to be brought for you. You were asked about this document.
Yes, sir.
And you'll remember it was read to you. This is the work permit, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
This is what permits you to do the job.
Yes, sir.
We can see that at the top it has a few lines where it says specific tasks. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it was pointed out to you that nothing about the removal of any plugs was contained there, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And then you were taken to the third section, which is certificates, checklists required. Do you see that? Right.
Yeah.
And there you can see there's the first document that's attached to this, right? This is this work permit has attached to it these documents that are identified in that box. Do you see?
Yes, sir.
Right. The first one is 2634, which is a hot work certificate.
Yes, sir.
All right. Can we, just so that we're clear about this, if you would turn, please, on in the bundle to 1079, please.
1079. Yes.
Just coming up on the screen now. Do you see right at the top it says Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited Hot Work Certificate.
Yes,
and
sir.
it gives, doesn't it, the certificate number 2634, which is what we've just seen on the previous page, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Right. So this is the document that is attached to the work permit. All right. You told us that you did no hot work on that day, the 25th. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, this document was attached to it. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Right. I don't think anyone's suggesting you were doing any hot work on that day. It's certainly not been suggested.
But again, we were not doing hot work in the habitat, but they may have been hot work on top, which I was not aware of.
You were not part of it.
Yeah.
Right. So far as you were concerned, your work permit permitted you to do what you've told us, all right?
Yeah.
You did not expect to be doing any hot work or be party to any hot work on that day, correct?
Yeah, correct.
All right. So that document that we're looking at now, and we could just scroll up, please, it gives a whole list of things that are conditions or precautions for hot work. Do you see the first 10 there are printed on the document, and they're sort of safety issues, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody's added 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
We didn't go through them, but somebody's added those, and they're all to do with safety.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right. In addition, so can we go back now to 1074, please? So we're back to the work permit. The next document that's identified in our box number 3
Checklist.
1074, please.
Evaluation certificate.
Very
Method
good.
work.
To box number 3, please.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Next document that's identified is the safe work method statement. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Right? Because the other two, it's either not available or not applicable. Do you see above
Yes,
that?
yes, sir.
So that document, the safe work method statement, it says see attached. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. And was there such a document attached? As far as you can remember. Let me take you to it and you see if you can identify it as something.
I do have any recollection of it.
All right. Let's have a look. If you turn, please, to our page 1062, please. No, sorry. It's 116.
116.
Just 1048. Forgive me. 1048. Right at the front of your bundle. 1048. Yeah, scroll down a little further, please. Do you see that? It says method statement.
Yeah.
1048 at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. This is described as the method statement. Do you see that?
Correct, sir.
Right. And it sets out the steps for this job, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
This, I suggest, is the document that was attached to the work permit. I say that because Mr. Way says that. All right, and he was apparently a senior officer at Paria. All right.
Okay.
So I just want to understand from you whether you remember seeing this document attached to the work permit.
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
No, sir.
No, you can't remember, or no, it wasn't attached?
I can't remember.
Can't remember. All right. Well, be that as it may, can I take you nonetheless, please, to page 1051?
1052, 1051, yeah.
Right. Just go back one page, if you would, please. You see at the top of 1050, it says to remove leaking section of the riser. That's what the job was essentially about, wasn't it? Replacing that leaking section.
Yes.
And then it gives from 37 to 55 on that page a list, and I suggest order, in which the job was to be performed.
Yes, sir.
Could you just cast your eye over it, please? Does that help you at all? Did you see any such document?
Not to my recollection, sir.
Very well.
I remember I wasn't there every day.
No, I understand. I just want to understand from you whether or not this... You have no recollection of seeing this document at all.
No,
The only reason I'm asking you about it is because Mr. Way says it was attached, do you see?
Okay.
And I just want to turn then to paragraph 56 and 57. You see at paragraph 56, it says manually remove the migration barrier from the line. Do you see where it says that? Right at the top of the page.
Yeah, yeah, manually.
Now that's 56. Manually remove the migration barrier from the line. The migration barrier is what?
It's the plug.
The plug, the metal one with the bolts on it.
Yeah.
That's the first one that you removed.
Correct.
And did it say after that, at paragraph 57, manually deflate the line plug and remove from the line?
Yes, sir.
Right. Do you see that the next entry is 58? Manually install the blind flange on the riser by positioning end flange on a newly installed slip-on flange and securing with fasteners.
Yes, sir.
Go back to the previous page, please. Right at the bottom at 55, does it say, on acceptance, remove the test hardware, and before that at 54, on completion of the weld, conduct a pressure test. This is the carber test, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right. Which was abandoned in the end, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So carber test, then over the page, next page, please. Manually remove the migration barrier, then manually deflate the line plug and remove the line. And then the next thing is manually install the blind flange. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Do you see the next thing it says is 59, chamber crew to demobilize and return to the exterior?
Exactly.
That's what you understood to happen, isn't it?
Yes, sir. This was our
tool. And then do you see the
toolbox
next
stuff.
one, which says 60, disengage air supply and allow the chamber to flood?
Yeah.
Do you see the next one? It's at 61. It says unbolt the 50-inch flange at the top of the chamber stovepipe.
Yes, sir. This is what the topic we had on that day, excluding the flooding. Well, we had to flood the chamber when we leave in, so including the flooding of the chamber. But the removal of the chamber and thing would have been done, providing the 25th went smoothly on the 26th.
All right. So when was the plug to be removed according to this document and according to your recollection?
On the 25th, as we did.
Right. And when was the chamber that was over it, this habitat, when was that to be removed?
To be removed?
Yes. When? Do you know when that was?
Well, it would have been removed the next day.
Right. After the removal of plugs?
Yes, sir.
Just returning, if we may, please, to our page 1074. Whatever the scroll to box 3, please. Whatever the position is, whoever was responsible ultimately, this document that we've just been looking at, in part, the method statement, was attached to this document, according to Mr. Wee. All right? Did anybody say to you that under no circumstances must the plug be removed from LMCS or from Paria?
No, sir.
At any stage?
No, sir. On the contrary, that was the plan to remove the plug.
You told us earlier, in answer, I think, to a question from me, that it took about an hour and a half to 2 hours for that process to occur.
Yeah.
During that 2-hour period, did anybody from LMCS or from Paria say, do not remove that plug?
No, sir.
That document also attaches, does it not, a lift plan and something called a job safety analysis document. All of them were together in a
binder folder.
Yes, they were all together, weren't they, in a series of documents supplied by Mr. Wee, or at least Paria, which put them and set them out in that way. Do you remember if this work permit at all, was shown to you on the day that you were going to carry out this work?
It was not shown to me, but was read. the safety officer went through the work permit with the GSA.
Is that Mr. Sorry?
Delpole, Mr. Delpole, our safety officer.
Oh, right. Your safety officer?
Yeah.
All right. Do you know, if you look back to the Section A, please, at the top of that document, do you know the man there who says, described as the applicant, Mr. Houston Marjad Singh? Do you know him?
Yes, sir.
Who is he?
I know him to be, I think, a Paria official, but I know him, I know the individual.
Somebody from Paria?
Yeah.
Right. An official?
Yeah.
Does this appear to be the document from him? Is it says he's the applicant for this work?
Yeah, he's the applicant, yeah.
All right. So whether he is the person who actually authored it or not, this bundle of documents form the substance of the work permit.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I'll permit anybody else to ask any questions arising from that if they wish to.
I have one question. Mr. Budram, sorry. Yes. Mr. Budram, at paragraph 28 of your statement, you said that you saw the permit to work at the toolbox meeting. You actually saw it?
Yeah, because we was at the toolbox meeting, yeah.
Just one question, please. And you were taken to you were taken to the method statement attached to the permit to work that you were just taken to by the chairman, where you were taken to number 55, 56, and that sets out an order.
Mm-hmm.
But at the beginning of that method statement, it says...
What's the number again? Sorry?
It's attached to... You just have to... 1048. 1048. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 1048.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a, in bold print, it says, after, we're not dealing with the list of, it says, all steps below shall only, in block and bold, be carried out in full compliance with Paria's PTW system. You see that there?
Correct.
Right. And this was the method statement that you said was that was attached to the PTW on the 25th.
Well, in fact, he's not saying that. So. He says he didn't see it. It's your Mr. Wee who says that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Or, well, you said you didn't see it, but you're not doubting that it may have been attached. Yeah.
I doubted it in the files here. So
thank you. Right. We'll get, you know which, between this and the PTW for the day, do you know which one actually dictates what you're supposed to do on the day, notwithstanding this list?
The method statement is the, in my view,
in your view,
in the method statement is the one you would work with and go to, even because the method statement is what you would use to obtain the contract.
Yes, but you would accept the sentence that says that the steps in the method statement, which you just referred to, shall only be carried out in compliance with the PTW system.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that this is subject to the PTW?
Which part in the PTW say that you could not take out couldn't take out the plugs? There were no stating that you should not have done it. If there was a must not do something, it would have been bold, as it is here, bold in writing, that all steps below shall be carried out to full compliance with Paria
But
PTW system.
he did accept that the PTW at least has the phrase barriers to migration barrier to be used. You accept that? We did over that before.
That's what it says.
Right, thank you. That's what we needed to see.
But again, when Paria at any point in time found that the job was going out of their PTW, they would have stopped the job. That way they had officials there for.
We heard that before, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Chair. No further question.
Anybody else? No? All right.
Mr. Boudram again. Just on that point of the permit to work system, and I emphasize system, all right? On the permit to work, as far as you, because I saw right there, they said that they were supposed to have the GHA attached, all right? As far as you can recollect, was the GSA attached? And also, do you remember what mitigations the GHA attached address?
It was attached because I recall our safety officer going through it. I do not fully recall the mitigations, and I don't want to assume.
I understand. Thank you.
Mr. Maharaj, but before I ask you if you have anything further to say, apparently I've been addressing Mr. Peterson as Mr. Gilbertson, and I apologize. I'm sorry if I've been doing that. And you're too kind not to correct me, so I've been corrected by my own team, and I'm happy to apologize. All right.
You provided him with entertainment this week.
Well, forgive me, Mr. Peterson.
And he could have corrected you before, but he just loved you being in error.
All right. Well, I apologize for that. Mr. Maharaj, is there anything else that needs to be added? I want to extend our thanks to you, Mr. Boudram. It has, I'm sure, been difficult for you. We have learnt much from what you've had to say, and I am grateful, as I'm sure Mr. Wilson is, for your contribution today. It's taken rather longer than we had hoped. It's probably my fault because I keep interrupting everybody. But I am truly grateful. Thank you very much for coming, and you're free to go. You can stay and come and go as you please now. I know you made a request to give your evidence so that you could do that, and you're more than welcome to stay at any point in the proceedings.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, you're free to go. Well, we didn't get as much done as I'd hoped we would today, but I'm not surprised. It's important evidence, and we will not sit tomorrow. Please feel free to come. We'll not sit tomorrow because we are on a view of the locus in quo arranged by Mr. Peterson and his clients. So I'm grateful for that. We will resume on Thursday at 10 o'clock promptly. Thank you very much indeed. Feel free to pack up and go. I'm going to grab my own papers, so don't stand on ceremony. Thank you.